Why aren't millennials having kids?
Hey beautiful people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So this video is a video of millennials and people coming to talk about why millennials are choosing not to have kids. If you guys don't know, like, this is a conversation we've had here on my channel, and if you've been watching me for a while, you guys know where I stand about having kids and even the entire process of bringing children into this world. And generally in the world, there's this decline of low child birth rates. People are refusing to have kids, especially millennials. We're choosing not to have kids, going child free, and this whole movement of child free has taken off, and people are really embracing it, and people are really hitting on the reality. But this has also struck a conversation people having, like, okay, why are millennials choosing not to have kids? And a whole lot of factor has gone into it. I have my own reasons why I feel like millennials are choosing not to have kids. But one of them, I would say, is economically. And secondly, the trauma we've been through. Anyway, guys, let's go check out what people think and people's thoughts about why they think that millennials don't want to have kids. And these are some millennials really talking about why they choose not to have kids and why kids are, like, not a need. Sometimes it can be very expensive, and the type of world and climate we live in, is it really conducive to have kids? Anyway, guys, let's go check out this video, people's thoughts on this. Then I'll come back and share my thought. But please go down in the comment section and share your thought. Why do you think millennials are choosing not to have kids? And if you are a millennial, why are you, if you choose not to have kids, are you choosing not to have kids? And if you're a millennial and you have kids, why do you have kids? If even you're a Gen Z and you choose to go child free, why are you doing it? Go down in the comment section and share your thought. I'd love to know why you want to have kids or don't want to have kids. Anyway, guys, let's go check it out, then we'll come back and talk more.
Why aren't millennials having kids? America's birth rate just hit an all-time low. Governments are panicking, calling for a collapse of our social structure as we know it. And they're blaming millennials for this collapse in our societal structure, citing our reasons to not have children to be nonsensical and over-emotional, that we're afraid to commit, and that we're doing it in revenge of our boomer parents. Quote, millennial women are rebelling against their baby boomer parents because they felt like the parent wasn't really there for them. Continue, quote, maybe they weren't there for their soccer games or dance recitals, and so millennial women are now not having children. And of course, there's the theory that millennials aren't having children because we spent all of our savings on avocado toast and lattes. This is a real quote from a millionaire. Then, of course, there's a theory that millennials all caught the woke virus and feminist views and LGBTQ views have just killed our birth rate single-handedly. They've slipped up a little in their marketing scheme. Looks like your motives to ban abortion aren't so secret after all. I love this for us. Now, if you will, a list I've compiled of the real reasons that millennials are not having children. You might want to pull up a chair. Fiscally, millennials have been deemed the unluckiest generation in U.S. history. Experiencing 2008 in our primitive years, watching our families fall apart because of bankruptcy, suffocating in student loan debt, and getting smacked in the face with the pandemic during our prime child rearing years. That marks a truly historic time for millennial parenting, because never before have this amount of women had to be in the workforce just to make ends meet, and barely. What's even more complicating the situation, for the first time in history, grandmas are also being required to stay in the workforce. Grandparents are working later and later in life, so they aren't there to provide the free childcare that our previous generations received. I was raised by my mom and my grandma full-time at home. So now our generation is getting hit with $15,000 a year average of childcare that no other generation had to experience. But yeah, it's the avocado toast. That's $15,000 a year for childcare, so you can go to work after you spend on average $14,000 to give birth in the US, making the US the second most expensive country in the world to give birth. Okay, well, yeah, wouldn't you rather pay more and have higher quality healthcare? Yeah, I sure would. Here's the kicker. We're paying these amounts, and then the US still ranks among the highest in maternal mortality rates among other industrialized nations. Mothers are dying in America more than 10 times more than other industrialized nations like America. Not to mention, those rates double and triple if you look at rates for Hispanic and Black women. The United States also has the highest infant mortality rate out of the 28 wealthiest countries in the world, coming in at 6.1 every 1,000 births. What's wild is almost all maternal deaths are preventable and happen after birth. If you'd like to know what the answer to decreasing maternal mortality rate is, it is not banning abortion. US is the only high-income country that does not guarantee any paid leave after childbirth, which results in 25% of women going back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. Having a major surgery like a C-section and being forced back on your feet to work so that your wound opens up, creating infection and increasing the death rate of moms in America. Women are literally forced every day to make a choice between their life and their financial livelihood. They don't want to lose their jobs, so they go back to work because pregnancy discrimination is very real. You know, women who have spent this much time building up a career to have that just smashed to pieces when you have children, you get knocked off the professional ladder. When you hear men and women don't get paid different wages, no, actually what happens is motherhood kills wages for women. Each child chops 4% off a woman's hourly wage, whereas men's earnings increase by 6% when they become fathers. Stanford sociologists did a study and found when interviewing two different women, one woman mentioned that she had a child, the other did not. The interviewer was 2 times more likely to call the childless woman. Millennials aren't not having kids because we bought too much avocado toast. We're not having kids in a society that does not make sense to have children. I would love to know in the comments if anyone else's job was affected by pregnancy or children. Personally lost a promotion by telling my company that I was pregnant. And I think it's time that I share my story in this next video. Why aren't millennials having kids?
Because we are the first generation to actually question whether we want kids or not. We don't simply do it because it's what's expected of us. We've seen the implications. We know that having children is expensive, is a huge life adjustment, and completely alters our current reality. Now, some people may want that. I am likely not one of those people. And you probably watching this aren't either. Let's be real. And it is something that weighs on me. Or at least it did last year, because I was dealing with a lot more anxiety and depression and things like that that were causing me to have these recurring thoughts. But now I've let it go because I don't live my life for what other people think of me any longer. I live my life for me and who I really want to be. Like, for example, next year in 2024, I am going to work on my financial goals with my husband and our 2 cats. Not that they contribute financially, but they take our money. And I'm going to get my shit together because I want to maybe save for a family someday. And I haven't been doing that for these last 8 years of my 20s and of these years that I've been working. There's so much life I have yet to live, and I don't want to be burdened by having children in order to make something different about it or just do what society wants me to do. So in the end, do what's right for you and your life, but don't let society pick that choice for you.
Why aren't millennials having kids? Because the cost of childcare is more expensive.
Go watch this whole video. Your blood will boil. Family weakening. My God.
Why aren't millennials having kids?
Are you kidding me? Because boomers and Gen X have spent at least, at minimum, the last 10 years, if not 20, saying, if you can't afford kids, don't have them. Well, guess what? We're too busy paying off our gigantic student loans to afford having kids. And also, milk is $1 billion a gallon. Make life less expensive and the birth rate will go up, you dumb f***. I am really sick of the older generations telling the younger generations how to live. And then when younger generations do that and the results aren't what the older generations wanted, they get pissed. Stop telling us what to do then!
I agree with everything that this creator has put forth in terms of why millennials and Gen Z aren't having kids. But one thing that I would like to add is that maybe we should consider the fact that millennials and Gen Z also have some of the highest rates of mental health conditions and diagnoses out of any generation. In fact, research found that only 15% of Gen Z actually reports that their mental health and well-being is excellent. 15%. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, that Gen Z and millennials just have a greater awareness about mental health. And yes, that is true. But let's also consider the fact that we are facing an existential crisis. We have survived multiple wars in our generation, multiple economic downturns. We can't even afford to purchase a house, let alone raise a child. And we don't even have adequate leave to be able to take care of ourselves after we give birth to a child. And our partners don't have leave to be able to take time off to support us after we give birth to a child. And of course, when you're faced with perpetual uncertainty and anxiety, helplessness, hopelessness, and you barely can get your own life together, the last thing you want to do is bring another human being into this world that now you have to attend to and give energy to when you barely have enough energy for yourself. An article from Vox talks about how millennials are dreading having children because it looks lonely and exhausting and depressing. And we're already lonely, exhausted, and depressed. We don't want to exacerbate that. But of course, it must be about the avocado toast. It must be that we just are trying to get back at our boomer parents. That must be it.
Why aren't millennials having kids?
Because there are 8-year-olds at Sephora.
Okay.
There are
What does
8-year-olds
that mean?
at Sephora.
Why?
Because the internet exists now, and it's gotten to the point that young adults or young people who are having children or thought about having kids can actually get a snapshot into what it looks like to actually have children. For various reasons, they're deciding not to have them because they don't want that. I think they're also just not strong enough for their child's favorite song to be the the cuckoo clock from Miss Rachel. But I digress.
Because it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm still chilling in bed. And I will get up when I am ready to do whatever I want.
A lot of millennials are choosing not to have children for myriad reasons, the most obvious one of which is the economy. But now another reason is surfacing. A lot of baby boomer grandparents are just not willing to help with childcare. Many millennial parents are finding that their boomer parents just aren't interested in leaning into the grandparent role, despite having leaned on their own parents to help raise their Gen X, Millennial, and Gen Z children themselves. A lot of them seem to be too busy being retired to bother with their grandkids. But that doesn't tell the entire story, because it turns out a lot of millennials' baby boomer parents are unable to retire and have neither the time nor the money to help with their grandchildren. More than half of all boomers have no retirement savings to speak of, according to 2020 census data. And even among those who do, a Kiplinger study found 22%, more than 1 in 5 baby boomers, have decided to delay retirement because they're worried they don't have enough money, or because they worry the economy isn't stable enough. So even when they do want to help their kids with the grandkids, many boomers simply can't. And with so many millennials and now Gen Zers adding this to their list of reasons not to have kids, it's likely to exacerbate the decades-long trend of declining birth rates, which many economists worry will have dire economic consequences. Today's babies are tomorrow's workers, after all. Declining birth rates mean there might not be enough workers and tax dollars coming in to support governments and economies. These problems have been seized upon by those with far-right political and religious leanings, who seek to fix them by curtailing reproductive and LGBTQ rights, and calling upon women to return to so-called traditional wife roles. It should go without saying that forcing people into a certain lifestyle is not a solution, nor is, by the way, limiting immigration, which economists and other experts say is the one factor that could offset all these problems in the United States. So what is the actual solution? Well, creating a country and an economy where inadequate pay, meager taxation of corporations and the wealthy, unstable job markets, and inadequate social safety nets don't create a situation where child rearing is a dismal slog and grandparenting is financially impossible might be a start. Because if the experts' predictions hold true, we've now arrived at an absurd place where even choosing not to have children causes more problems than it solves.
I feel like the "why don't you want to have kids" crowd has been real loud lately. Why are y'all so pressed if other people choose to not have children? Is it because you are so miserable and you want us to be miserable too? Is that our duty in this life? There is a valid reason to want to have kids. It's a love that you will never experience otherwise. That I understand. But most procreators don't say that in their argument for having children. A lot of them will be like, I want to continue my legacy. I'm sorry, are you John F. Kennedy? Are you Napoleon Bonaparte? Or even Napoleon Dynamite, the actor who played Napoleon Dynamite? Even if you are super famous, people might care about your children, maybe, but they don't give up after that. I'm sorry, but they don't. My great-grandfather was, we don't care. Nobody cares. They're dead. They're dead. And then they start getting really irritated and they're like, well, who's going to take care of you when you're old? The nursing home. I will pay people to change my diapers. I don't want my kids doing that. Please leave me with some dignity, Jesus. If you want to have kids, I don't give a f. Do whatever you want. Those of us who are not having children by choice is because we're selfish. And we like money. Don't be jelly.
So I think that the biggest reason millennials like myself are electing to not have children is because we grew up in what we consider a shitty pay-to-win game, and we don't want to bring in new people into a shitty pay-for-win game just for them to feel the same way that we do about our parents, which I don't think that a lot of us actually tell our parents this, just because, you know, it's why. But, like, why did you bring us to this you know? We don't, I mean, I know that they said it to their parents. I mean, I'm sure that there are some of us that say it, but that's why. I think that this is the main reason why. Like,
Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about this conversation down in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. You're on this channel. We're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way, okay? So feel free, share your opinion, but let's be respectful. Guys, if you see me sweating, please, I just want to put it out there because you might see me dripping. Please, we have serious heat wave going on right now in Nigeria, in Lagos. Like, it's crazy, it's super hot, and my country is in a hot mess, okay? So with that all said, guys, go down and let me know why you think that millennials and Gen Z are choosing not to have children. So go down and share your thoughts. For me, this is one of the reasons. This is one of the reasons. My country is messed up economically, environmentally, conditionally, everything. Apart from the healthcare system being messed up already in my society and even the workforce being messed up, like the sister talking about how there's a whole lot of women that will literally be back to work because if you don't resume work, you don't get paid, or before you come back, they've already employed somebody to take your position at work. So women give birth and leave their children. I know of a friend that gave birth in a week. She dropped the child and she was off to work again. And that's because families can afford, millennials can afford to be at home and not work for money and just give birth to children. So not just in the United States, okay? So some of you guys know I'm in Nigeria and I live in Nigeria. So yeah. Another thing is that we've seen the repercussion and we're asking the big question, why should I have kids? Because a whole lot of time having kids is more like to reproduce for the workforce, to keep the society and the elite going. And if you look at the elites and all that, you find that most of them don't even have a lot of children. Some of them have 1, 2, max 3 kids. But you see, the people struggling were having 4, 5, 6 kids. Because why? Why? The environment, even the world society, it's already just messed up. And then thinking about the trauma in terms of the mental health, thinking about the trauma that we enjoy, we're going through, we're trying to heal. We don't want to bring another human being that we're going to inflict more harms to. No, we don't want to do that. It is not our portion. So when people are talking about, oh, why millennials don't want to have kids, can people just allow people to be who they like, to do whatever they want to do? Here on this channel, we're not saying people should not have kids. We're not saying people like don't have kids or go child. We're saying that be very intentional. Ask yourself those big questions why you choose to have kids. Because most of the time, people have kids because of their own selfish reason, and they call people that choose not to have kids for their own selfish reason. Some people choose to have kids just because they want to keep a man. Some people choose to have kids because they want to prove society wrong and do what society expects them. As a woman, you're supposed to procreate. You're supposed to have children. Some people have kids because they want somebody that will take care of them in old age. They don't want to be alone in old age. Which statistics has proved like, no, that's not true. So if you know so well as a woman that having kids will not keep a man, will not make a man happy, will not make that man love you the way you want to be loved. Having kids will not guarantee somebody's going to take care of you in old age. Having kids will not make society cater for you and look out for you or be a better person in the society. If you know all these factors, will you still have kids? If you know having kids is not going to give you financial freedom, which is something African parents use their kids for, because they use their kids as more as a retirement plan that's going to take them out of the poverty states that they are in, because they did not get themselves to work and don't have kids. Rather, they have kids thinking that the kids are going to get them out of it. So if you know all these things and know that those things are not going to work, will you still have kids? So as women, especially as women, because why I'm dragging on the women, I'm talking, yes, including some of the men have joined into the child-free journey. But as women, I'm stressing on the women because 95% of the work and the burden of having kids is a beautiful thing, but the work that comes with it falls on us women. So before you choose to have kids, ask yourself those valid questions if it's something you want to do. And will it make the world a better place? And if you feel like you're not sure, I'm not saying don't have kids, but if you feel like you're not sure, there are a lot of children that needs love that's in the foster care system. Pour into that child. And I want to give it guys my answer because when we talk about this, because there's a whole lot of brainwash that has gotten here. Because some people are like, oh, that's the thing you don't understand. I'm telling you from somebody that literally for a couple of years ago, our life was just so rounded about just being pregnant and having kids. Coming from that. Literally, I'm just saying this story here. Oh, okay. Is that I actually quit my job. Apart from that, my job was not paying me enough. I was stressed out 80% of the time. I left my job because I realized that my job was causing a whole lot of miscarriages because physically it was stressful and yet it was not paying my bills. So I was like, you know what, I want to be a mom. Okay, so I'm going to take a break and I'm going to have a child, which also affected my finance. So we women, we sacrifice so much just in the name of being a mother, having kids. So ask yourself, is this something you can afford to do in this climate where everybody's struggling financially? And this is a couple of years ago when my country, we were complaining then, but now it's worse. Inflation has gone 2,000%, not even 2,000% more than before, than 4 years ago. So ladies, please be very intentional when you choose to go on this journey. I'm not telling anybody not to have kids. I'm not telling anybody what to do with their life. But ask yourself those heavy questions if you really want to do it. And yes, that is why the birth rate is going to decline. And I hope this really wavers into my society, which it is a little bit, because nowadays you see some people, they say they want to have 4 or 5 kids. Now people just want to have 1, 2 kids now, which I feel eventually they will get there and it will click why they should like have a second thought of it. Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this amazing conversation down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful. Here on this channel, we are allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So feel free, share your opinion. We're allowed to disagree, okay? Just don't call anybody names or insult anybody, okay? Share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversations. So go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see. And that will be you supporting this channel and this girl. With that all said, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces.